Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Harvey Newman. I'm a professional animator and I like to share my passion for animation here in this channel with all of you. One question that I get asked from time to time here in this channel is how do I go about being a freelance animator in games or in movies? What do I have to look forward to? What do I need in order to actually get into the industry? And some of the tips and tricks that perhaps you actually kind of find as you become a freelance animator. So in this episode, we are going to be interviewing John Seldon. John Seldon, we have worked together in a couple of studios before. He's a really good friend and he's an incredibly talented animator. He has a lot of nuggets for you guys, and also how to balance your life when you're a freelance animator between work, family, and spare time. So it's going to be a good episode. I hope you guys are ready. So let's get started with this interview with John Seldon.
Don't blame me. Tom did that. Collect and purify water at a distance of up to 30 feet.
We'll help you.
It's a tube, and it. You don't know what it looks like, Hank? You've been looking for it all day.
You know what draws your eye when you look at that? The ground.
Thing that should.
Where is it, Tom? Where is my top secret, not ready to be seen yet, miracle slurper?
Wait, we can't just let the landlord come in here and take all of our Dance Dance Rebellion money.
I think we just did.
Well, we have to get it back.
How, Tom? How?
We're live here with John Seldon. John and I used to work together like many years ago. Still feels like yesterday. He has a lot of knowledge, although he is very humble. And right now we're going to talk about all about freelancing, because he was just telling me off the record that he's massively busy these days. How's it going, John?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Good. Yourself? Myself. I like your hair.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just for the audience that don't know you, who is John Seldon?
You pretty much summed it up quite well there. Animator, freelance. Been an animator for 10 years.
I still remember you and Joe out of uni in Crytek. Still amazed about working in games and like all that stuff.
Well, you know, I still am, like, to a certain degree.
Yeah, you still feel the same?
Yeah. It's like when you first start, you're walking in, you're just like, it's like someone in Hollywood, their first time walking in to, you know, their first feature film or something like that, and they're like, oh my god, this is just incredible. And I was like, yeah, it's all cool, but
I've seen it before.
Yeah. But then, you just have little bits which are just like, that's ace. That's cool.
I think so. Like, can you talk a little bit about from the start? Where did all the passion come from and all that stuff?
Yeah. Well, I was always sort of into animating when I was a kid. I used to do. I love Morph, and they'd have like little clips of this little character called Morph, and he'd just be making noises, and it was just like little funny little things. So me and my mother used to make like our own like little Morph films. So I've always sort of been into animation, but it's never really it never really twigged as like a career. I went to uni to do computer science, I think it was. I was there for, well, I did a year and I realised it was boring as shit. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm not doing this. I said to my parents, like, nah, this ain't for me. Like, I have to find something else. So I took a year out to try and find myself, I suppose. One of my friends was into Studio Ghibli and introduced me to Spirited Away. That film, it was like, it's just incredible. And I was like, I have to buy it. Like, so I went off and bought a special edition version. And on the second disc, they had like the making of. But it was just sort of like, it was about the sort of studio vibe and stuff like that. You can do that I said to her, I was like, you can do that as a job. You can actually, and she's like, I guess so. She's like, we can look into it, like, if you want. I was like, yeah. I want to do that. I want to do what they do, and I want to have like the director making noodles and you know, just sitting in a dark room with just a torch and just drawing away. Like, that's how it ended up happening. And
Nice.
at uni, and then once I finished uni, so they would invite people, you know, like sort of things you've done before, where universities invite industry over and. Crytek sponsored the event that year, and Damon came down with Anna.
Yeah, it was Damon then. I thought it was Tony.
No. Well, Tony was working there, but Damon was the lead. Though.
Okay.
Me and Joe, we were on the same course, and we were just like, so it was the meet and greet afterwards, and we were like, we're not ready for this. So we managed to find 2 bottles of white wine, and whilst everyone was mingling, me and him just sat on the stairs of uni, we basically downed 2 bottles of wine between us, and then we were just, you know, a lot more
Relaxed.
a lot more relaxed. Then the night sort of went on then, and so I got chatting to Damon, and I was like pretty oiled up at this point, and I was like, Damon, alarm wrestle for a job. And I lost. It was cheating, by the way, because I'm sure I would have won. Didn't think much of it, and then he messaged me then later, and like a couple of days later, asked me to do like a test, and then got me and Joe up. Yeah, I suppose the moral of that is, like, you know, if you can be relaxed and just normal with people, because like, you know, we're not like I remember thinking, like, when people from the gaming industry and stuff like that came, it was like, oh shit, you know, you're sort of so nervous because you're like, you're gonna try so hard to impress them. For sure. They're like almost like they're the mecca, because they the job you want. Probably because we were more we try to have more of a laugh.
After a certain point in your career, especially as you become more senior and you start hiring people, as you know very well, then like the quality of work is important, obviously, because you want someone that does the work, but it's almost secondary because you just want someone that actually gels with the team. And
well, that's it. I mean, the work gets you through the door, like, but that's, for me, that's not what gets you a job, like.
Finished university and then started in games in Crytek, right?
That's right, yeah.
How was your gaming journey then, like your career in games? What kind of places did you work on, and what kind of projects you did and all that?
And so I was at Crytek for 5 years, and you know, it had its ups and downs. It could have ended on a down, which is unfortunate. Yeah. I left just as it was going under. You know, I can't stay too far away from you, so I came down to
to Lionhead,
Lionhead again. Yeah. And Lionhead was one of those companies. I did like in university, I did a project on Lionhead.
You did?
Yeah. It was one of those companies. Like, I love black and white. Okay. And a girl in university got me into Fable 2. And I was like, this game is really cool. Yeah. I was like, yeah, cool. It's one of the companies I earmarked for working at. Like, yeah, so then obviously going down there was like, yeah, this is great. You know, different style of animation, much more like up my alley. You know, it was like the combat style and stuff. I was there for just under 2 years, I think, and then they went under. Yeah. Yeah, you haven't had a lot of luck with game studios, right?
In Lionhead, I'm guessing it was at that point that you decided that you wanted to go freelance, or how was that, like the decision to go from being in a full-time job, stable-ish, even though the company went under and all that. So how was it like to actually kind of decide I'm going to go from this to then just like freelance?
Well, it was sort of by accident because obviously, I mean, when I was working at Lionhead, I don't know if you were there at this point. We were living, me and my wife and my son. We were living in Newbury, and so I would go off and go to work. And where we were living in Newbury, it was like literally in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I went to Lionhead, and I was like, you know, is there anything we can do, like, so I can work from home? Mm-hmm. They were like, yeah, that's cool. They let me work 2 days at home and 3 days in the office. So we ended up moving back to Wales. But then obviously, because Lionhead went under, mm-hmm. and I was back in Wales, it was that kind of thing of like, it's very unlikely I'm going to just be able to walk into another job and get that same deal somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was sort of a kind of an accident. And like, I had spoken before to Megan. I was like, oh, I think one day I'd like to try freelancing. And
so you guys discussed it before?
Yeah. We had discussed it. Like, so it was kind of the right time. Like,
mm-hmm.
doing freelance, there's the risk of the really quiet times mm-hmm. when people aren't freelancers. And when I finished on the Sexy Brutale, it was that kind of thing. So mm-hmm. I sort of put sort of feelers out there, but I was like, no one was really looking around that time. And I was like, so I think I was without a regular income for about, I don't know, maybe 5 months or something like that.
That's a lot. That's a long time.
Yeah. All the money I saved from doing this job gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So then when I started getting more work, I was like, never again is that happening.
For
like,
sure.
I was like, work. It's like, put the feelers out, see if anyone else needs work, and it's like, yeah, we need some. I'm like, awesome, I got this much time, work. Yeah.
Now that you've been doing it for a while, like, what's the ups and downs on both, like, games and freelancing?
I mean, predominantly I work in games anyway, freelance. If I consider the differences between like working in a studio
and then home, I guess.
Home is obviously, like, I'm not an actively social guy, mm-hmm. so I will probably not see anyone for a while.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's the downside on this side. And like, the one thing I loved about working in a studio was I loved hanging out with, you guys, and a good laugh.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Just even like things like shooting references, it was always a good laugh.
Yeah.
I enjoy being around those sort of like-minded people who are into the same sort of stuff. Yeah, that's probably the biggest comparison, I think.
When it comes to like upside, like the upside of it, or
usually it's the case, as long as you do the work, you put in the hours, you do the work, and everyone's happy. Then you can sort of work your life around it a lot more. Like I'll take a break around about the time where my son comes back from school, and then we have tea, and then there'll be a block of a few hours where I would normally be in work.
That's great.
But I get because I work in my garden. Yeah, I get the opportunity to just fizz off, go do that, and then come back to it later.
That's cool.
So the flexibility is, that's one of the biggest things, and also as well the variety.
So now that you've been working in freelancing for a few years, what advice would you give up and coming and freelancers?
I mean, it kind of depends. It's a hard thing to pitch with people who don't have, especially in games, don't have that
experience, right?
Experience, because there can be a lot of big technical things you need to address more than TV and film and stuff like that. I think the biggest thing you could do, I suppose, is really try and work on stuff like your own stuff at home, like it can get to the point if you're spending all day in work and you're doing animating. You might not be animating that much, but you're doing something regarding animation.
Yeah.
It's hard to just get home and pick something up to do and do an animation test or something like that. But I don't think I would be getting a job if I didn't do stuff like that. Like if I'm not working, if I got quiet time when I'm not working, I'm animating anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's about trust, right? Because people, like companies need to trust that they are paying you big bucks for you to actually do the work on time.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you work in a studio and if you don't do the work on time, at least you show up to work so people can see that perhaps you got caught up. But when you're at home, people don't have any visibility about what you're doing. So as far as they're concerned, you might be just frying eggs all day.
That's it. And the ironic thing about it is that I work more now than I ever did in a studio.
Yeah.
I don't take we used to take big breaks to me, big
tea breaks.
And they were great for like some morale thing, but like I don't take many big breaks as such through the day.
Yeah.
Obviously as well because I kind of want to store that time for when everyone's at home and
yeah, makes sense. I think I'm going to start asking everyone that I interview one question that is the same for everyone, see what they answer related to animation. And my question is, if you could pick one thing way back in the day that was the seed that started everything for your animation career, what would that be?
I would have to say Studio Ghibli, Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
Yeah, I that film is incredible anyway, but it's one of those films I get quite, I wouldn't say emotional because I don't get emotional.
Never. You like that cop? Yeah, I know that you don't. You like that cop in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yeah,
the tears just go up; they don't ever go down.
It was only when like I watched Spirited Away and just completely, mind blown sort of thing.
Yeah.
That was it. Like I was just like, that's what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, no, it's a great, amazing movie. Like I loved it too. That's really all I had for you, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks a lot for taking the time, man.
Yeah, all right, but sorry if I've absolutely waffled.
No, I didn't. You were like very eloquent. You sounded like Obama, as always. Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I appreciate you taking the time.
My friends, all right? Yeah, all right, yeah.
No, it's been wrong all this time. I just decided. Yeah, exactly. So that's a wrap for this video. That was John Seldon. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. John is a great person to work with. Very humble artist, even though he's incredibly talented. And I think he deserves the best. For the small time that I was freelancing, all the things that he mentioned were true. It's actually a very nice way of working, depending on where you're at, what's your goals and where you're going. But obviously you have to be organized. You have to actually know where your money is going to know where your next gig is coming from. And all those things, you have to keep those in mind. So it's not for the faint-hearted, but it's definitely a very enjoyable way of doing it. I certainly enjoy my time freelancing. So I hope you guys took something from this video if you're looking to freelance. And I hope you guys enjoy the content. If you did, then please leave a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Have a great week, guys. Enjoy your time. And until then, stay well, stay safe. Peace.